Hello everybody, my name is Walnut. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to another replay cast. So, what we have here is yet another TVZ. This one is a bit lower level, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus my commentary more on areas of improvement and general feedback on gameplay. It's a more educational form of commentary rather than the normal play-by-play I do on maybe a Diamond Master game or up. Because those generally the people understand the mechanics of the game, they understand the sort of fundamentals. It's usually just a form of execution, is what it comes down to once you get up to about Diamond Masters. So what we're going to do here is introduce our players. We have Terminator over here in the blue trunks, up here in the top right hand position as our Terran. In the bottom left-hand position as my favorite color. Just kidding, my favorite color is blue. Tricked you. Let's go. Bam. Get pranked. Nah, it's our red player, Boshie. I don't know. Oh, dude, is that a reference to I Want to Be the Boshie? That game is ridiculous. I Want to Be the Boshie. So, this is actually an odd play. This is 2 reactor here from our Terran player. And I've never actually seen this before, to be honest, so we'll see what he does with it. This can lead into Fast Factory, and that can lead to some pretty sick plays. What he's probably going to do, though, is he's going to go Reaper first, and then into a Factory after that. We see very economical play out of our Zerg player. It looks like he knows the builds. Let's go. This guy's a god. Throwing down the spawning pool. I believe this gas is accurately timed, so he has perfectly enough gas to start Zergling speed when the spawning pool finishes. So this guy obviously knows build orders, which is very, very good. Our Terran player, I don't know, man. This guy's going double gas against a Zerg player. I don't fucking know. So he's actually going Marines, and then he's just getting really fast factories. So I'm very curious as to what he does with this. He might go for a fast Widow Mine drop. He might go for fast Banshees, like a 1-1-1 Banshee build. He might go for a 1-base Liberator Siege Tank all-in. There's a lot of options from this, actually, despite it being a slightly odd build and a little bit inefficient. I would like to see him throw down an Expo instead, as macro play is a little bit more consistent at this level of play. This is silver gold, by the way, but I don't know. He is going to go for the 1-1-1, and this is a tech lab on the factory, so I'm going to assume this is some sort of Siege Tank Liberator play. And if it's not, what he's going to do is he's going to let this tech lab finish up, lift up the Siege Tank, or the Siege Tank. He's going to lift the factory. Alright, he does start a Siege Tank, but what he could have done is he could have lifted the factory, switched it over with the Starport, and then started up Banshees and Cloak, which is always really, really sick at low levels because people don't build detection. Hey, guys, Scout, build detection. It's really strong. So he is going to build a reactor, and what this might actually be is the 2 medevac Siege Tank 8 Marine drop thing. I don't know what to call it. And what you do is you get 2 medevacs and you get 2 siege tanks, and then 8 Marines. And what you do is you load up 8 Marines and 2 unsieged siege tanks into medevacs. Then you drop them in some place, like, I don't know, maybe the enemy base right about here. You drop the 2 siege tanks and siege them up, and you drop the 8 Marines. And the 8 Marines are throwaway because you want the 2 medevacs to be able to lift up and move around the siege tanks. And it's a really sick play. So we do have 2 medevacs started out. Oh my god, did I call it? Am I a god? Guys. I might be a god. Premonition of Genesis. This is actually getting a little bit worrying here for, I'm actually a little worried here for both players, because, it's 3 base for the Zerg, so we could die to this all-in, but if this all-in doesn't work, our Terran player could be screwed. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty close whether or not this goes poorly. Yeah, it's dicey. If this all-in works, I think the Terran player just kind of wins. But if it doesn't work, then the Zerg player is in a very good spot. The thing I do want to point out, though, is the Zerg is just now waiting to drone. He's only at 32 workers, which is a little bit low when you're going up to 3 base and your 3rd hatch is just finishing. You generally want to be about 40 to 50 drones at this point in the game. He does have solid build orders, though. I will say that about this player. He's got very, very solid build orders, and it looks like he knows what he's doing in terms of playing StarCraft, which is very, very promising. He's got his creep spread on the way. He's hitting his injects, which is really, really sick. His spending, while not perfect, is actually really solid. He's starting up his Roach Warren. He's got his Evo chambers on the way. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have units, and I think that's going to be a very big problem, especially if he starts up a big drone wave right now, which he's kind of playing with, he's hinting at. The 2 siege tanks and 8 marines are looking to go into the main base. We'll drop these off on top of this queen here. What a sad queen. This has never been a sadder queen. Oh, does save the medevac, so that's pretty legit. We'll siege these up here, and it looks like this third base is kind of scroodled. There's not a whole lot here in terms of units for our Zerg player, and I think he may have just lost this game, to be honest. There's not a whole lot here to contest these siege tanks and marines. Now, the marine count has not been thinned at all, so he's not going to get any marines on top of those siege tanks with this excellent marine positioning. Oh, I was completely wrong. Look at that. That was so sick. Oh my god. He spawns the Zerglings on the second base, and the Zerglings get right. Oh my god, that was so good. Guys. This guy is the next GSL Codes champion. Boshie in Gold League is going to be the next GSL champion. That play was so unbelievably sick. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he spawned like 12 Zerglings directly on top of the siege tanks and was able to clean up that attack without taking a ton of damage. Like, let's see, he lost 6 drones. Honestly, he is completely fine right now, considering the Terran's second base is just starting here. What an absolute literal god. Oh man, that was some sick play right there. So we see Terminator with a bunch of stuff up on the high ground here. He's got, you know, all sorts of tech type units, and this sort of like pokey force isn't going to do anything. What I think this is here to do is it's to delay the third base, right? Because wow, all right, that's interesting. Sometimes if you click the mouse wheel on the edge of the screen, it like teleports the screen over there, but it doesn't do it all the time. That's an interesting bug, and you've definitely seen it in my cast before when like I try to move the camera and it just like freaks out. So I'll probably put that in the beta form, or not beta forms, the bug forms. Anyway, Zerg player, he plays really well in terms of like macro, and this is so awkward. Oh my god, is he gonna get the siege tanks? This is such a sick play, guys. All right. So what he did there is he hit his units in an area where if the Terran player is moving out, he's never going to see that, right? He's never going to look right here when he's moving out. So what he did is he sat there, and that helps him delay the third base. It helps him know when the Terran player is going to move out, and it helps him to pick off units in the backfield when those are threatening. Or, excuse me, when those are lagging behind the rest of the army. So we have Roaches pressuring the front here for our Zerg player. And he does clean up this, like, small Marine Liberator force at his home. And, I mean, look at this. He's on top of the production structures. And, I mean, as a Terran player, what are you going to do when they're on top of your production structures? You have units coming out individually, and there's just not a whole lot you can do, you know? Working to gold. What are you? This guy is, he's definitely playing very, very well for his rank here. And, I mean, this was a, I mean, I'm not going to call this game, like, the best game I've ever seen, but this is really a, an example sort of game, as I like to call it. And essentially what happens here is, this is what good macro will do to you. I won't say that the Zerg player had the greatest micro I've ever seen, because he didn't. But what happened here was that he out macroed his opponent. He got enough bases, and he had enough units and drones to be able to just sort of like, what is it called? He's able to like rubber band back from whatever damage happened. Because the thing is, as long as he doesn't lose literally every drone against that sort of all-in, he's going to be able to do fine. He's going to be able to recover 3 bases to the like 1.5 that the Terran player had. And I don't know, like, the Zerg player just played really well. This is why you need to focus on your fundamentals and your basics when you're a lower level player. You absolutely need to focus on these things that don't seem as fun or as important, because these are what will carry you to the higher leagues. And honestly, this is what I did back in Heart of the Swarm to get up to Diamond, back when I was I was on that grind. You absolutely need to focus on your fundamentals. Those are what are going to win you 99% of your games. Yes, sick micro plays will win you battles and engagements that maybe you shouldn't have won, but at the end of the day, if you have 3 times as much shit as your opponent, you're not going to lose the game. I can tell you that right now. If you have 3 times as much shit as your opponent, there is no micro trick in the world that is ever going to lose you that game. Unless maybe you just sit on top of like 1,000 storms, but you know, we'll discount that for a second and say macro, guys, macro. You need to focus on this in the lower leagues. You need to focus on multitasking. You need to focus on spending your money, and I think even our Zerg player needs to focus on that. He's not maxed out, and he has 2,000 minerals in the bank. Build some roaches, build some zerglings, anything at all to max yourself out. Because this money in the bank, what does that do for you at the end of the game? Literally nothing. You need to spend your money and get units, because if you have more units than your opponent, there's a very good chance at this level of play that you will win. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Walnut, and I will check you guys later.